I was very lucky and fortunate. I guess, you know, being in the right place at the right time. I wasn't a great player, and you know, there's a lot of guys that were really super players that are out of baseball and never had the opportunity to, you know, get in as far as broadcasting goes.
It's not just an interview, it's an interview with Peter Uecker.
12 News spoke with Bob Uecker back in the 80s when he was acting, and really took his acting career to the next level when he was starring the sitcom Mr. Belvedere. That show ran from 1985 to 1999, or 1990, I should say, on ABC. Uecker played George Owens, obviously the star of that show. And earlier today, 12 News spoke with Eileen Graff, Uecker's TV wife, about the show.
Eileen, thank you so much for joining me and sharing some of your reflections on someone who had such an impact on so many. Just what do you remember most about your time working with Bob Uecker?
Laughing. Bob's goal in life, I think, was to make people laugh. And what an amazing privilege it was to go to work every day and know that our job meant laughing. And he was absolutely the ringleader. He never didn't have a quip or a zinger or a line. He was miraculous.
Yeah, Mr. Belvedere was on the air for about 5 seasons, 1985 to 1990. You were in more than 100 episodes with him, playing his TV wife. What was that like, being able to come to work every day with someone who had already made such an impact in the world of baseball?
Well, you know what was interesting about Bob is that he never made a big deal about himself. I remember when we were doing the pilot, right at the very, very beginning, and he said to Christopher Hewitt, who played Mr. Belvedere and was a stage veteran of many, many years, and me, who came from Broadway, he said, "Look, you're the pros. I'm an amateur at this. Just tell me what to do." And that we knew we were set on a right course. And I think not only did that have to do with his character, but it also had to do with the fact that he was a baseball player and he was used to being coached and bossed around. So it was a really great combination of his willingness to learn and our willingness to tell him what to do.
Were you surprised at all at his level of skill and expertise in the world of TV? You know, you coming from Broadway and you now starring next to this baseball icon?
No, I think that he was just the kind of guy that whatever it was, he was going to do it, and he was going to do it well. And he never strayed too far from his public image, you know what I mean? Which was kind of true, but he was so much deeper than the doofus that he liked to play on Carson, where he was brilliantly funny, or on our show, or his commercials, or his movies. He was so well read. He read, I don't know how many newspapers every morning. He knew everything that was going on in the world. He was politically savvy. So you could have like real, I hate to use the word intellectual, but I can't think of another word right now, conversations with him that kind of had nothing to do with the character he played. So he was very clear about what he played and who he was.
Do you remember the last time that you saw or the last conversation that you had with him?
I hadn't seen him in a long time, in a really long time. But sadly, my last conversation with him was when my real husband died, 11 months to the day that Bob died. So my husband is gone 11 months, and Bob died today. And he and Judy called, his wife Judy called, and we had a long conversation, and he was so comforting and so strong and so loving. I treasured that call.
Just amazing words from Eileen Graff. And obviously, besides playing Mr. Belvedere, his most iconic role in the cinematic universe was Harry Doyle in the movie Major League Baseball, which was filmed pretty much right here where Old County Stadium used to be, and gave us some of the best movie quotes of all time.
As you know, Monty, Vaughn's been working on a couple of new pitches, the Eliminator and the Humiliator, to complement his fastball, the Terminator.
I heard that.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. That broadcast school has really paid off.